Shalom, Yashrala. This is your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahawah, Bahashim, YAHAWASHI, Bahashim, Rakha Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for y'all, I can't push in this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here lesson that was brought up at camp the other day, where there was a Northern Kingdom Israelite who came up and, was going down the list of information that he was taught, basically how they teach you here in America, all right? Dealing with the Northern Kingdom and how, or who the people were, who the Native Americans were, and so on and so forth. They try to push off that these are, so-called Asians, all right? Because they tell you that Christopher Columbus was looking for Asia when he came over here. But if you was looking for Asia when you came over here and you didn't appear in Asia, don't make the people over here Asian. All right. But nevertheless, according to the scriptures, all right, we can tell you exactly who was over here on this here landmass when they got here and how they got here. All right. So this is 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 39. And it says, and whereas thou hast sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, so they came into another land. All right. Now this is dealing with the Northern Kingdom. All right. The Northern Kingdom, the kingdom of Israel was divided into two kingdoms, the Northern and the Southern Kingdom. All right. Now this is the Northern Kingdom. All right. They went into captivity before the Southern Kingdom went into Babylon. All right. But nevertheless, it says, notice how it says here, it says, those are the 10 tribes, because why? This is a phrase or a phrase of names, how they always would call out and say to them about, the lost tribes of Israel. All right. That's not to say a nickname, but a phrase where that's who it's talking about. All right. But nevertheless, it says those are the 10 tribes which were carried away out of their own land. All right. So this is where the Northern Kingdom was separated from the Southern Kingdom. All right. Verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So after their captivity was over, they decided, look, we're going to leave from around the rest of these heathen. Because why? They was heavily influenced by all the heathen that was around them, and they started following after their customs, just the same way it's going on here in America today and all over the places where we're scattered. All right, you have our people. That's why the scriptures say, "Come out of her, my people." All right, or this is not your rest. It is polluted and it'll destroy you. All right, we're supposed to be coming out of Babylon with a mindset first and foremost. All right, but nevertheless, continuing on, it says let me read verse 41 again. It says, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So this is also giving you an example or a piece of a description of the place that they will be going to. All right. This is a place where never mankind had dwelt it. All right. This isn't nowhere on that side of the globe where you call the eastern side. All right. This is all on on the western hemisphere of the globe, from Canada all the way on down to South America. All right. Just like when Columbus and them came over here, they said they were searching for the new world. All right. A place basically where never mankind dwelt, or so they so-called said they thought. All right. So it says, let me go back to verse 41. They took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. So this was the reason that they decided to leave off, because why? They didn't want to be influenced by the heathen that was around them and keep going off. Verse 44, for the Most High, verse 43, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High has showed signs for them and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth. All right. And just like, and actually in one of these articles, they'll talk about this, but nevertheless, they you can find in the scriptures about how Solomon was sending his ships to find this here gold. And it was a voyage of 3 years or something like that, a year and a half and a year and a half going, a year and a half coming back, makes 3 years. All right. It says they dwelt there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. So they was talking about what you would call the lost 10 tribes or the lost tribes of Israel. All right, how they went to this new place where never mankind dwelt, and they was going to be there until, it says, and they dwelt there until the latter time, and now when they shall begin to come. And who are they talking about? The rest of the globe, the rest of the people, the rest of the civilization on the planet Earth, when they would start to come back over to this here side, over on this side of the globe, to meet them over here, more or less to say, so they'd be dwelling with a different, nation. All right, because as we read in here, the whole time they was living over here by themselves. All right. So just to establish, going into who was living over here before Columbus came and how they got here. All right. The scriptures clearly tell you from way before we went into, Babylonian captivity, way as early as that, when the Northern Kingdom was in this Assyrian captivity. All right. They wound up leaving after that captivity and coming over here to the Americas. All right. And they had dwelt over here from that time all the way up until this current time when Columbus will come. All right. So I'm going to go from there and we're going to read through or look at a couple of different websites. All right. Now, this here first image I'm going to show you. All right. This is an image that's around here at this here place called Emerson Point. All right. Now, let me click on this here image, which this is the first image that you see when you first pull up to this here place, man. All right. These signs here are posted up on the fence where this is the entrance to the property. All right. Now, you have this sign on the left, Great Florida Birding Trail, and the one on the far right, Gulf Coast Heritage Trail. But now the one in the middle, all right, as you can see on there, there's an image of a Native American head, a so-called Native American head, and it says the Trail of the Lost Tribes. All right. Honoring Florida's ancient people. All right. Now, again, this here name is synonymous with the Israelites, the lost tribes, all right, the Northern Kingdom. Because why? When you read throughout the scriptures, all right, if you are paying close attention in the scriptures, you'll notice about the Babylonian captivity, the Medo-Persian captivity, the Grecian captivity, which, unless you read in the Apocrypha, there's not too much in there. But in the Roman captivity, it's only really the Southern Kingdom, all right? Only the kingdom of Judah was actually there, all right? The kingdom of Israel, for the most part, was not there. This is why they have that phrase, the lost tribes. All right. So again, I'm gonna show you this here picture. It's at Emerson Point, Florida. All right. It's called this here sign says the Trail of the Lost Tribes. All right. Now from there, I'm gonna go to another article. All right. Now this one here is on this guy named Luis de Torres. All right. Now Luis de Torres, you'll find out, was a interpreter that Christopher Columbus brought over here to America. All right. Now I'm gonna read this here article. Or this here article on this guy here, and it'll clearly show you, who Columbus expected to find over here and the precautions he took in order to accomplish his journey. It says adventurers Luis de Torres, Jewish explorer and interpreter, crew members on Christopher Columbus's 1492 voyage to the New World. There's that New World again, all right, a place where never mankind dwelt. Now this is coming from Columbus and side point of view, and like I said, there's multiple stories here. They have the story that they teach you more or less in school, like they go into the New World where never mankind dwelt. But in reality, what you're going to find out here is they knew who was over here. They knew that there was already people over here. All right. So this kind of coincide with what they call manifest destiny, but also is what you call prophecy. All right. Because we just read that the Northern Kingdom would be living over here to the latter times when they would come. All right. Who's going to wind up coming? All right. It would be basically Esau who would come in, reign over the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel, where the scripture said they were oppressed together. All right. So it says adventurers Luis de Torres, Jewish explorer and interpreter, crew member on Christopher Columbus' 1492 voyage to the New World, also the first Jew to step foot in the Americas. It says Luis de Torres was employed by Christopher Columbus as an interpreter on his first voyage to the New World. All right. So, hey, this was somebody that Christopher Columbus wound up paying him to come on this journey with him. All right. He suck him out. All right. He's like, yo, I need me an interpreter, but I'm going to grab me a Hebrew, somebody that's well versed in Hebrew. All right. This was also a person. Now, I don't know if he was actually Israelite or a Jewish person. More than likely, he was a Jewish person. All right. Nevertheless, it says Luis de Torres was employed by Christopher Columbus as an interpreter on his first voyage to the New World. Another thing I want to pull out, this is his first voyage. All right. And you'll find out further on down in this here article that he knew exactly who he was expecting to find over here. All right. This is why he came prepared on the first voyage with Hebrew interpreters, not Asian interpreters or people who could understand their language. But no, he brought Hebrew interpreters. All right. It says because he was Jewish. So I done skip some stuff. Prior to this, de Torres held a position in Juan Chacon, governor of Murica, a province where there was a large number of Jews, as a Hebrew interpreter. Because he was Jewish, and this was during the era of the Inquisition, it was necessary for him to convert to Catholicism, which he did the day before the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria set sail on August 2nd, 1492. The voyage also coincided with the expulsion of all Jews from Spain. So now when you line things up in history, this was basically the end of the Dark Ages and the beginning of the Renaissance period when Esau was taken back over, right? He was expelling us from all these different places like Spain, Portugal, and all places out of Europe and things like that as well, all right? So you have to understand, when they talk about these here people at this here point in time, they knew exactly what they was doing. They was taking over Israel and dominating over them, all right? First, they would go over and conquer the northern kingdom first. Then they would come and take over the southern kingdom, all right? But they came over here expecting to find Israelites, all right? It says, because he was versed in Hebrew, Aramaic, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Latin, and some Arabic, Columbus had thought he would be helpful upon their arrival. Especially useful would be his knowledge of Hebrew and Aramaic, as Columbus fully expected to encounter descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. Now, see, they just throw that word Asian in there again. They keep throwing people off. But homeboy said, like, the story is that he went looking for Asia and didn't find Asia. He found somewhere else. So why the hell are you expecting these to be Asian? You see what I'm saying? Nah, that's just that stumbling block that they keep throwing in there. But obviously, homeboy came well prepared and he was well informed about what he was doing, where he was going, and what he would need on their journey. All right, he knew he was going to encounter some people, so he brought the type of people who could speak that language. All right. It says, after reaching Cuba, Columbus believed that they had arrived in Asia, sent de Torres on a mission to locate the great cities and riches he had anticipated he would be there, and to find the great Khan of Tartary. After traveling some 60 miles, de Torres and his companions found an Indian village with 50 huts and approximately 1,000 inhabitants. They were greeted with great friendliness. It's a lot. They were greeted with great friendliness and by native women who kissed their hands and feet. The tourists noticed a strange customs of the Indians who would place the end of a burning leaf in their nostrils and inhale vapors. All right, let me just go on down a little bit. I wanted to read this last little paragraph. It says, regardless of his final outcome, Luis de Torres was without dispute the first Jew to set foot in America. All right, because why? Again, Columbus brought him over here for the for the purpose of being able to communicate with the people that would be already here. All right, letting you know that the people that was already over here, the so-called Native Americans, all right, spoke Hebrew. All right, and they were Hebrew Israelites. All right, so I'm gonna go from there. This is another article. It says ancient Hebrew artifacts in the Americas. All right. In November 1860, respected Licking County, Newark, Ohio's surveyor David Warwick unearthed two stones bearing Hebrew inscriptions. The first was a triangular-shaped keystone in photo number 2 above, and the second was called the Decollage stone, encased in a sandstone sarcophagus. 3 and 4, and accompanied by a small stone bowl 5, nearly the size and shape of Hebrew temple ritual bowls. The keystone inscription translates the Holy of Holies, the law of Elohim, the King of the earth. The word is supposed to be Yahawah. All right. Among those who also were called the Bat Creek stone had inscribed on it for which is actually called Yahawah, one of the 12 tribes. All right. Now Yahawah is like how you would say the tribe of Judah. All right. Now, as you see here in this here imagery, this is the ancient Paleo Hebrew. All right. The oldest form of Hebrew writing. All right. Inscribed on a stone was found in an undisturbed Hopewell burial mound among the Little Tennessee River near the mouth of Bat Creek. Additionally, Hopewell diagnostic artifact recovered with the stone include bone and wood pieces and 2 brass bracelets with metacultural properties nearly match those of ancient Hebrews in the Levant, or what they say Yasharal or Israel, portions of the Mediterranean. All right. It says the inscription on the stone was assumed to be Paleo Cherokee and was subsequently published in the Smithsonian in their annual report of the Bureau of Ethnology 1890 to 1891 on page 392. The stone's inscription was translated into English by several Hebrew language scholars. What was the translation? For the Yehowadim, or for the Yahawah, all right, or basically for the Jews, or for the tribe of Judah, all right. A clear reference to an ancient Hebrew tribe. South American artifacts. In New Mexico, a stone was discovered, and on it was the inscription of the Ten Commandments. Some other references material, such as the book They Came Before Columbus, identified that there was already Negroid people in Americas, according to the account of some explorers with Columbus. All right, now, not to let this be a stumbling block unto you, all right? We know that all 12 tribes all descend out of Jacob, all right? They all Israelites, but nevertheless, you know, you have to take into account that you know, throughout time, Jake was lightened up, all right, and changed colors, and then also, how do I say, the facial features and things like that would be changed a little bit, all right? So some people would be like, oh, well, the Northern Kingdom or the so-called Latinos and Native Americans aren't Israelites because they don't look like us, you know? But nevertheless, hey, before they came over here and started mixing with all of us, like, you learn this in science, like, everybody, you know, come from Africa, all right? Everybody was so-called people of color, but then what the hell happened? All right, people just wound up mixing with certain people. Esau was the only person with a different skin color, and he started mixing with everybody else, so this is where you get the different skin color. But nevertheless, when you go back into the original times, just like how they say now, the natives, they had their own language and their own dialect, and you talking about the Mayans and the Aztecs and their different languages. But beyond all of that, before they even picked any of that up, they were speaking Hebrew. All right, they was back into the actual Hebrew speaking language, because this is who the people were. All right, so when you go back to the beginning times of when these people were over here, and from the times when Columbus first, how do I say, came across them, more or less to say, they was all in their Hebrew ways. All right, when you look at Native American garments, they all have fringes on them. All right, if you look up a so-called Mexican poncho, it has the fringes at the bottom. All right, they spoke in Hebrew, you know, and, you know, you hear certain songs, hayya, 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 things like that. They speak in Hebrew. All right, but nevertheless, they would try to dissuade them from saying that. All right. It says in New Mexico, a stone was discovered, and on it was the Hebrew inscription of the Ten Commandments. Some other reference materials, such as They Came Before Columbus, identify that there was already a Negroid people in the Americas, according to the accounts of some of the explorers with Columbus. The stone was discovered in a dry creek bed in New Mexico by early settlers in the region. Engraved on its flank is the entire Ten Commandments written in ancient Hebrew script. Hebrew scholars such as Cyrus Gordon of Brandeis University near Boston have vouched for its authenticity. All right. And really, in reality, you think about this here language, they tell you that this here language was actually lost in time at one point in time. This is why, you know, one of the reasons why now that when you look at what they call Hebrew nowadays, modern day Hebrew, that's not even Hebrew. It's Yiddish. It's like a mix between German and some other language. All right. But nevertheless, it don't look like how these writings look. All right. Now, if you look at a lot of our signs and things like that where Hebrew is written, is actually written into these same letters. All right. Now, this here image in the middle is the image that Glenn Beck got fired over. All right. Glenn Beck got fired off of Fox News for pretty much going into the same here situation, the same information. All right. Now, I'm going to go into one more web page. We're going to read through this one as well. All right. Going back into that last stone we were just talking about. All right. This one here says the Los Lunas Hebrew inscription. All right. It says the above inscription is very unique for several reasons. First, it was written in an ancient Hebrew script. Second, it's located near a small town of Los Lunas in the state of New Mexico, USA. Third, the inscription is of the Ten Commandments. Is this inscription an original or a fake? If it is original, it proves that Semitic people, probably Hebrews, arrived in the Americas long before Columbus or the Vikings. That's exactly what happened. All right. They've been over here way longer before Columbus did. We just read that in the scriptures. All right. The above inscription is unlikely a fake for the following reasons. The actual time of the discovery in the inscription is not known, but what was known by the locals as far back as the 1850s. And at the time, the script of the text was unknown and therefore undecipherable. It was not until the 19th century that the ancient Hebrew, Paleo-Hebrew, all right, scripts were discovered in the Near East. All right. So, hey, look, like I was just saying and going into, you can't really fake this. All right. This couldn't really be faked because they found this and they didn't understand what language it was actually written in, because that language wasn't really readily known to everybody at that point in time. This is the farthest back ancient Hebrew, not even the Assyrian Hebrew. All right. So it says it was not until the late 19th century that the ancient Hebrew or the Paleo-Hebrew script was discovered in the Near East. Once the ancient script was discovered and deciphered, it was possible for the Los Lunas inscription to be deciphered, and at the time it was found to be a copy of the Ten Commandments. So after they deciphered it, they found out this was like one of the oldest written versions of the Ten Commandments. All right. It says when we compare the scripts to the Los Lunas inscription with the above inscription found in 93 at Tel Dan in the land of Israel, we find that the scripts are almost identical. Below is a comparison of the scripts from both inscriptions. All right. Now, if you look at this here image, which Salaki, I can't make it any bigger, but you can see that these letters are very similar. All right. Very, very, very similar. All right. I mean, they damn near to the T, man. All right. But nevertheless, showing you that these things, well, they're going to go into a timeline. It says the Tel Dan inscription was written around 1000 BCE. So 1,000 years before YAHAWASHI even came onto the scene. Since the Los Lunas inscription was used at the same time, it is safe to conclude that the Los Lunas inscription was written by a Hebrew people about 3,000 years ago. Other ancient Hebrew inscriptions have been found around the country, including Tennessee, the Mississippi Valley. The Agriculture Outliner homepage includes other ancient Hebrew artifacts found in the United States. The article Who Really Discovered America also includes some very interesting information on the Los Lunas inscriptions as well as other finds, and includes a possible link between the gold of Solomon and the gold of Brazil. All right. Like I was speaking on earlier, you know, that there's they said that Solomon used to send his ships there. It would be a journey of 3 years. All right. Vandalism. We're not going to read that. All right. So I'm going to just show you these here images again of these here stones, or they're engraving on a stone in the ancient Hebrew writing. All right. Just to solidify who was over here before Columbus and them came, what language they were speaking before Columbus and them came, what language they was writing in, and what language they had all their artifacts in. All right. This was before they was called themselves Mayans. This was before they had a Mayan tradition. This was before they had an Aztec and all those different traditions. All right. They were still Hebrews. All right. They knew exactly who they were. They was passing this here down orally. They would also write some of these here things down. All right. So I just wanted to bring this here out through the spirit, to edify our people as far as this misconception that the Northern Kingdom aren't the so-called Latinos and Native Americans, because, all the evidence points to that way. All right. The scriptures tell you that that's who came over here. All right. History also tells you that that's who came over here. Even the guy who you think discovered this here land, Columbus, came over here with Hebrew interpreters. All right. Not just him, other people as well, too. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Lord willing, it was edifying into the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahawah, Bahashim, Yahawashi, Bahashim, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, the great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for y'all. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong and shalom.